The following video is going to be a tutorial of how to use the Mesowest website in the event an automated surface observing site that you normally use from the weather service is not working, or there is not an automated observing site at the location that you're interested in. To access this website, you would type in mesowest.utah.edu into your address bar. Once you're there, this is what you would see on the opening screen. To find observing sites for our area, the tri-state area, you would click anywhere in our area. You would then come to this page, which just happens to show all the observation sites for Colorado. To access sites just for our area, again the tri-state area, we would go to, I guess it would be Kansas since it's not under the Colorado heading. Go to Goodland County Warning Area, or CWA. Go ahead and click that. For network, you want to click all networks. This is going to show not only weather service sites but also sites that are owned by private individuals. Then refresh the map. Zoom in a little bit here. This map now has plotted all of the automated observing sites in the tri-state area. Again, these are not just weather service or FAA sites, but sites that are owned by private individuals. So, kind of a word of caution here, some of these sites are not as well sited as those at such like Burlington or Goodland or St. Francis, which are owned by the FAA or the Weather Service. For instance, the site here at Cheyenne Wells, I've been told, is sheltered from more of a north wind than a south wind. So if you have strong winds from the north, this site might be underdoing it. So just kind of a rule of thumb to use some of these sites here with a grain of salt, so to speak. So I'll get in now to what all you can look at with this website. First of all, you'll notice that by default it has the wind speed and direction plotted, and the number there next to the site is the current temperature. You can adjust what's plotted on this website, and I'll show you that in a little bit. First though, I'd like to show you what all you can see from the website the way it's displayed right now. If you hover over any given site, such as this one at Cheyenne Wells, it'll tell you exactly what's going on right now. So it gives you the current wind speed and gust, the temperature, dew point, and relative humidity, and the time of the latest observation. Well, let's say you need to have a little bit more detailed weather information for Cheyenne Wells. So go ahead and click on that site. This graph now has plotted all the data for temperature, dew point, and relative humidity in the last 24 hours. So let's say you actually need wind in an hourly format. Well, you can click the wind option here, and as you can see, the red line is the sustained wind, the green dashed line is the gust, and then the dots here are the direction the wind is coming from. And you'll see the direction here on the right side of the plot. So this is very handy if you need hourly weather information. You'll notice though the time stamps here aren't in the greatest resolution, they're fairly coarse. So I say, well, that's nice, but I need a little bit more detailed timestamps here for my wind information. So you go ahead and click on additional tabular and graphical displays. This now has a table of all the weather information that you could find in that previous page here. Starting at the top of the page, it has a max and min since midnight, in this case since midnight Mountain Time. So at a quick glance you can know what the highest temperature has been since midnight and the time, the highest wind speed, which has been 8 miles per hour, and the time it occurred, or the wind gust and the time it occurred. Same with the min. It also has a rolling 24-hour min and max here a little bit further to the right, with the timestamps that each of those occurred as well. Then scrolling down the page, you have the timestamps taken every 5 minutes or so. It looks like more like every 10, excuse me, for this website, or this station, I should say. It does vary. Some stations go every 5 or every 3 minutes. Sometimes sites don't report only once an hour, such as the ASOS sites for the Weather Service weather observing sites. But this one has it every 10 minutes, and each column denotes what is being displayed. So let's say you just need to know what the wind speed was at, let's say, 3:36 p.m. for Cheyenne Wells. Well, you go down here, and looks like here it is. And it's from the east-northeast at 4 miles per hour with a gust up to 7 miles per hour. Something to note too is the quality control. I'm not quite sure how reliable this is. There's been some events where it says poor quality, but yet the data seems to be in line with all the other sites, and there's some days where it is poor. So I guess the point here I'm trying to make is, even though this may say poor quality control, be sure to compare it with other sites around it. That way, to give you an idea of, is this really poor data, or is it just for some reason flagging it when there's nothing wrong. So I think that's all I needed to show you there. We'll go back to the Mesowest page here. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that you can change what is displayed on the web page here. Say, for instance, you would like to have, instead of the current temperature, you would like the current wind speed and wind gust. And see, it's pretty easy to change that. However, you need to keep in mind which number is which here. And you can hover over the site, and that again gives you a quick glance as to what number is what, as well as, again, what's currently going on. Something else that might be helpful is the time options. This is set to display the reports in the last hour. You can change that to any of the following here. Just keep in mind how far back you're going, because if the weather is changing, if you go too far back, that is probably not going to be representative of the current conditions. It is set to auto refresh every 10 minutes, so by checking that, this will automatically start doing that. As it says here, you need to have at least 3 minutes or greater for the auto refresh. Over here on the left, the year, month, day, and time. Let's say you need weather data for yesterday. Well, you would key in the appropriate dates there for that time period, and then you'd also put in the time. Now, as it says here, this is in UTC time, or it's basically the time that the military uses. So again, it's not simply putting in mountain time. You have to convert the mountain time, or if you're in central time to UTC time. And I'm sure if you did a internet search of that, you could find out pretty easily how to translate which time period, or which time zone, excuse me, into UTC time. So another handy feature there. And I think that's all I need to show you with that box. So again, that's pretty much everything I can think of to show you for the Mesowest website. Again, this is a great way to find sites that are not listed on our public page on the Weather Service website. It doesn't have quite a few of these, or actually any of these sites that are privately owned. But again, word of caution, they are not cited in the best places at some of these sites, so do take them with a grain of salt. Also, if any of these sites report precipitation, that may not be the most accurate with those reports, especially in the winter time. Being an automated site, they usually melt if they're a fairly high quality station, they might melt the snow into the tipping bucket. So sometimes it might freeze up and not tip, or it may just freeze up period and not report the proper precipitation. So that's the one field I would probably not trust at all. unless it's during the warm months. So I hope this was helpful to you. Again, this is a great website for supplemental data of current observations in addition to what you can find on our Weather Service webpage. So thank you for your time.